to admit that it's quite emotional to see it again here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look, you've had such tremendous success already. I mentioned the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. What wasn't attached yet to this version of the film was the Strand releasing title card. We were able to announce, or Strand was able to announce that they've picked up this film for US distribution. And this means a lot of people will see this film.
Yes.
And it's a hyper-personal film. You took us on this incredible journey centered on the loss of your father. Talk to us a little bit about how you brought yourself to be willing to tell this story.
So, first of all, like, my father was the first person who supported me when I started making short films, because I studied interior designing, and while working, I just started exploring filmmaking, and he saw it and he supported me. And when I came out to him in 2013, even then he accepted me. I had these impressions of coming out stories which were all tragic. So I was so scared, but when I came out to him, he immediately said that you know about yourself, that's most important. And I was like, okay, a driver who couldn't even finish his school can understand this and accept his son. That was a surprise to me as well. And when he passed away in 2016, my mother decided that we should go there, go to the village so all the relatives can, attend the ceremonies. And I knew that, and I was 30, and I knew once I'm there, I will be asked this question again and again when I'm getting married. And that's what happened. And every day, these people would come to meet us, and they had this only one question. And I started thinking at that time, what if I had a friend over here who knew about me? I would have just sneaked out with him for a while and stayed away from this pressure. And suddenly I thought, oh, that's a good idea actually. And it stayed with me throughout that 10-day morning as well, and after that. And I realized that I can use it and change this journey, at least for the central character, and make it a tender journey. And I thought there's a potential to make a romance drama as well. And I thought let's just try to think about it. And my writing process is usually I think about the idea for a very long time. So this was in my head since 2016, and I actually started writing in 2020. And when I was actually writing it, I started feeling happy. Actually, this whatever I was writing was making me feel happy. So let's just continue, and I just continued, and this happened. So most of 90% film what you saw is fictional because there was no buyer there. So I was just in the house with my mother throughout the day, just sitting in the house or sitting in the veranda and just observing the village and the nature. That's what I was doing all the time. Or towards the end of the grieving period, I would go out with my relatives to prepare for the death. So that's all I was doing. So all of this is mostly fiction.
I mean, it's fascinating to hear that. I mean, we can understand that perhaps being in that 10-day ritual, the obligation, the burden, the monotony in a way. But I have to say, it makes a very interesting cinematic structure, right? Because it's framed, it has certain points, there are certain things the characters can and can't do, but then to add a love story on top is ingenious in a way.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to talk about building trust with your crew, because to take your crew, I'm assuming most were Mumbai-based crew, taking them to the village, and then layering on, was it mostly professional crew?
Yeah, everyone is professional, even all the actors are professional actors, no one is non-professional. So yeah, everyone is professional, and yeah, I mean, we were like 60 plus crew just behind the camera. And then on the crazy days, we had 25 actors in front of the camera, and on the really crazy day, we had the whole village. So yeah, that's how it was.
I mean, I have to say, best performances not only by an entire village ensemble, but the GOAT directing is off the charts. Like, how did he learn to do that?
So Baya, who's his his name is Suraj. So Suraj is actually born and brought up in the same region, and that's what I wanted for Baya since the beginning. That I wanted an actor who's from that region, so I can get the look, the language, body language, everything. And because he grew up there, he's done this job. He's done milking the cows. He's taken goats to graze. So he knew it. Only that he had to refresh his memory again. So just few days before the shoot, he had to just be there and do these things, and he just did it.
I mean, that is something to point out, is that the variations from region to region, village to village in some cases, can be profound, including language. So to be able to crew up and cast up. So really everyone was a professional actor in how did you go about casting the film?
So casting literally took 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, I actually found Baya and Anand. I had Mother in quite early, like in the second year of casting, I had Mother, and she was like, I am doing this, I'm not going anywhere. And so I had this really crazy idea, and I don't know, whatever I was thinking really happened with this film, including this screening. So when I was thinking about casting, I was thinking, I need Mother who has almost similar journey to my mother's journey. Then I wanted Anand, the actor for Anand, who's from that region but grew up in the city, and I wanted Baya from that region. And all of this happened. Like Mother, she grew up in a small village, then she got married to an actor, and she came to Mumbai, and now she started acting. And Anand, his roots are from that same region, but he grew up in a city close to Mumbai, and Baya he's born there. So all of these things happened, and all the villagers and the relatives, they are all professionals. So what we did was we went to that region and we started contacting actors who are from the theatre groups, local theatre groups. So I was like, that's great because they'll know acting and they're local, so everything will sort out. I don't really have to struggle, because earlier I was thinking of casting non-professional for the villages, but we didn't get that much of finance to actually shoot, because for that many days, because if you're working with non-professional actors and with this kind of long takes, you really need time, and we didn't have that. So that's what I thought, let's do this, and it worked out. So yeah, all the villages are theatre actors.
You mentioned that your father was a driver, you said? So the background, I mean, tell us about your background, your
Yeah, so starting from the actual start, the story that you hear in the film, how the parents got married, is actually the story of my parents' marriage. So when I heard it as a child, I always wanted to incorporate. I didn't know like I will make films and that will give me a chance to incorporate, but I was always fascinated with this idea. And so that happened, and I grew up in a really small, like imagine a house smaller like a hotel room, in that house in Mumbai. And yeah, I mean, I studied interior designing, as I said before, because I didn't know what to do after I finished my schooling, and my dad's boss, he just suggested that, your drawing is good, why don't you do interior designing? I didn't even know what was interior designing was, and he explained, and I was like, yeah, I guess I can do it, and that's how I ended up doing interior designing. But by that time, I was writing short stories, and I continued that while studying interior designing and while working as an interior designer. And while working, one of my classmates was my colleague, and she once told me, there's a short filmmaking competition. You have so many short stories, let's just make a film. And I was like skeptical. I was like, we don't know how to make films, how can we do it? And she was so persistent because she wanted to act actually. So she kept pushing me, and that's how we actually ended up making my first short in 2007 using one of my colleagues' Nokia phone and some of my school friends who had a home PC, and we edited on Windows Movie Maker. But we couldn't finish the editing because that home PC would crash every time you would start editing. So we couldn't finish the film actually, but the whole process of creating something was so exciting. I wanted to see my first film, but I couldn't. But then that made me, I want to make another film. And The other film I made, I used my parents in that film, and Stanley completed that, and that was a horror film actually. Because I love horror, so I used to make horror films when I started making short films. So, and that happened, and I showed it to my friends, my neighbors, and everyone loved it. So that made me keep doing it. And that's when my father saw it, that I'm spending more time after coming back from office, and he said, "Do it. I mean, if you want to change your career, it's fine, but do it passionately and honestly." And him saying that was really important. That I feel that now, because when he was working as a driver, he quit his job because he wanted to work for himself, and he established a very small company in Mumbai. But he couldn't run it for more than 3-4 years, and he had to shut it down, and he went into a depression for a year. As at that time, I didn't know anything about depression, so I used to wonder why dad is behaving like this. I think I was in 6th standard at that time, and but after so his thing was that he wanted to work for himself, and he started this business, and now he had to shut it down. And how can I go back to driving again? That was stopping him. But at the end of the day, he had to do it because he had a family, and he started driving again. So after that experience, him supporting me was really important because he invested all his savings into my interior design diploma. And when he passed away, that and the experience that I had, I feel like when I was ready to make my first feature, I thought, even though he's not there, his absence helped me to make my first film. So I still feel that he's still supporting me in some ways. So,
Absolutely. He's here. He's here. But what we just also heard is that you're self-taught.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Like as I said before, I used to watch all the Q&As all the time, and when I had access to this DVD library in Mumbai. I used to get 2 DVDs every day, so I used to watch 2 films every night. And first thing I used to check for is if that DVD has a making of the film, and I would check that first and then watch the film. And also I started doing one thing was if I want to watch a film, and if there is a screenplay available of that film on internet, I would download that. I would read it first, and while reading, I would have my imagination about that film. And after that, I used to watch the film just to see how the director, he or she, made decisions or made choices, and how that
if they made the right choices.
Yeah. So that was my filmmaking. Film school, and just making films continuously. That was.
You've spoken about your background as an interior designer. Certainly, the production design and the look of the film. I mean, I think and believe that in this film the images speak as much as the words, right? And so talk to us about building the look of the film, building the images of the film.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I told my DOP CACTUS, who shot this film, that I really want to create a portrait of that time. And because I've been seeing these villages since my childhood and always spent a time in the villages during summer vacations, it used to be really hot, so I wanted hot, really bright light in the film, and that dry landscape. So I wanted to use a lot of brown. And when I was doing location Reiki, I used to take pictures, and I used to grade them to find the look for the film. So I had done that a lot. And I shared it with our senior colorist Siddharth Mir, who's also one of the producers of the film. So when we did the test shoot, he worked on that look based on my images, and then he also put his own talent in it because he's really good, and he came up with the look, and we used that. And another thing was I did my own storyboard because I feel it before the shoot, it gives me a lot of time to think about all the frames, and once we finalize all the locations, and because I'm an interior designer, it helps me imagine. So I used to imagine all the scenes, how I want to construct them, and I did that for 3 months, and that actually helped everyone. And my DOP is really great because he stuck to it because he said that's your vision, and of course he did build on it. I mean, that was just a basis for him also, and he did build on it, and that's how this happened. And we used I hate the this ultra modern look of all these new lenses, which is very sharp. I don't like it. I couldn't shoot on film, and hopefully I shoot on film for my next film. But I told him that I want really soft looking images, and that's when he suggested, let's use vintage lenses. And I was like, can we? And so we use Russian vintage lenses, and Mumbai only has one set of that far away from Mumbai, so we had to fly them to Mumbai every time we were shooting. And and it's actually my DOP and my colors, it's actually their contribution actually to get this film to look like the way it is.
Amazing. So this is also a queer love story, and Mumbai is obviously a very modern city in many ways. Other parts of India less so. I think decriminalization happened probably during the production of this film.
Before that, just in 2018 or 19, I'm forgetting the year.
Yeah, but when you first conceived of this film, it certainly wasn't maybe as known, and certainly in villages maybe unspoken as it is in the film. Were there things that, to certain members of the crew or certain members of the extended cast, you weren't explicit about, or was everybody aware of what was happening in the film?
So this is funny. The whole crew knew about the film. Only the villagers didn't know. So every day, most of the days they would ask, when will the heroine come? When will the heroine come? And then someone in the crew just told him, oh, she commits suicide in Mumbai, and that is why this guy comes. So that's what they would ask all the time. So, you don't know how, if you tell them everything, how they would react, just the way Anand said that if I come out, I don't know how they say. That was the case, and because we were such a big crew and all the equipment, we just wanted to be, a bit safe, so we didn't tell them anything. But we have to show them film because they are really waiting, and they're like, you are taking film to America, when will we see it? So they are really waiting. I don't know how they'll react to it, but I'm kind of positive because my previous short film, which was also queer film, I shot that as well in one of the nearby villages. Even that time I did the same, I didn't tell them anything. But when we finished the film and we had our first cast and crew screening, I invited them and they booked a huge bus and the whole village came to the screening. And my partner, he was like, okay, they are all here. What if they don't like it and what if they react differently? I said, let's just see what happens. And when they watched the film, they actually liked it. And they said that we want the whole village to see it. Even that film was actually a celebration of sexuality. And that's when I realized, it all depends on how you tell that story. If I had made that story where the character is, cursing her own sexuality, they would have, taken it that way. But when she was happy, she was exploring. The film had, this happy feeling. They also loved it. So I feel, it's all about how you tell the story, and I hope they will like this as well. That's what I hope.
Well, it's a great romance in many ways, and
also I must add that we have this conception that or notion, whatever that is, that people outside Mumbai or the city, they don't understand anything. But that's not the case, because that's what we keep seeing in the film, that people don't understand. But that's not true, because while when I was during my writing process, I was also talking to few guys from the village, remote villages, and I know two of them whose family accepted them. So it's not that people don't understand over there, and that is why even I am hopeful that the villagers will understand and will like the film.
100%. That's a big misconception, right? Is that people outside of metropolitan centers don't understand.
Because it's a human thing. That's what we just don't think about it. It's a human thing, and people know about it. Even in the villages, I know that people know about it, about sexuality.
Yeah. So, again, Sundance, the release, new directors, you'll be on the festival circuit. People are seeing this film, they will continue to see it. Have you prepared yourself for this level of exposure? It can be a lot of pressure. So far you're dealing with it brilliantly, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts, and again, mostly because it's the hyper-personal nature of love between men, whether it's a father and son or, two lovers, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts on that front?
I don't know how I'm gonna deliver it. Actually, I'm shaking here. So I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, actually, I don't know. That happens all the time when I come on the stage. But I have to just get into it and just, do these things. And I don't know how will I do it, but back home, actually, most of the people are excited to watch the film because it's the first Indian fiction film to win Grand Jury Prize. So people are excited. They just want to watch it, and they are actually telling us when are we going to see the film, because Indian premiere will happen later this year, and they are like impatient. Like, we can't wait that long. Please show it as soon. So people are excited, and I get messages every day on Instagram from strangers. So I'm excited to show it to them, and I just want to see how they react to the film. So I'm excited. Let's just see what happens. And I'm hopeful.
Yeah, it's going to be a great success, and you have now rooms full of friends
Yeah,
who are going to support you in this process and help carry it across. One last question before I will invite everybody to go upstairs and have further conversation if you like. You mentioned your next film. We talked a little bit about it. You mentioned you wanted to shoot on film, which I think is a great idea. But anything else you want to tell us about that, the process?
I mean, as I said, the story is in my head since 2018. I'm still thinking about it, and maybe this year I will start writing. That's all I can say. There's no point where I'm also thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, it's something that stuck with me for a long time, and that tells me that I need to explore or start writing this. So soon I will do that. Yeah, of course, film, and let's see how that goes. I'm also scared because film will not give me the control, because when we were shooting this film, we used a look during the shoot, and I could see everything how it will look in the final film. That will not happen with the film, so that is scaring me. But I don't know. We will just.
Doesn't seem like you're afraid of much. So, Rohan, thank you for joining us. Congratulations.